My name is Cassandra Hayes, a 35-year-old financial auditor living in the city of Grandview. I'd always maintained a distant relationship with my stepmother, Diana, and my father, Richard, finding it difficult to trust any gesture from them. They, along with my sister Olivia, had recently sent a lavish box of gourmet chocolates for my birthday. It arrived at my apartment, packaged beautifully with a fancy ribbon and a card. I didn't care for chocolate, and the thought of receiving an expensive gift from them, something that cost more than most people earned in a week, simply felt wrong. I didn't want it reminding me of old family strife. That very afternoon, I drove out to the house where I grew up in Willow Creek. My half-brother Leo, 12, and my sister's two young children, Finn and Marco, were there, energetic, as usual. I handed the completely sealed box to them, mentioning they would enjoy it more than me. They immediately opened the package and began eating the pieces right there on the living room rug. I didn't touch a single piece and left shortly after. That evening, I was getting ready for bed when the frantic call started. First, my father Richard's name lit up the screen. His voice was shaking when he asked if I had eaten any of the chocolates. I assured him I had not, explaining that I had dropped the whole box off at the house for Leo and the kids earlier that day. The sudden silence on his end was chilling, followed by a choked, raw sound before he abruptly hung up. Immediately, my stepmother Diana called, her voice hysterical and nothing like her usual composed self. She demanded to know exactly how much Leo had consumed. I told her he had eaten at least 5 pieces, and the little ones had grabbed several too. She made a terrible gasping sound and disconnected the call. Then came Olivia, crying so hard she could barely speak, desperately asking me to say I was lying and had eaten some myself. I replied that I had watched the children consume half the box. She screamed my name before the line went dead. Standing there, I couldn't comprehend why 3 adults were losing their minds over a box of chocolates. Less than 30 minutes later, a call came from the downtown Metro Children's Hospital emergency department. My brother Leo and my nephews, Finn and Marco, were in critical condition. I rushed there, the antiseptic smell hitting me sharply. A doctor, his face grave, told me all 3 had suffered sudden seizures and cardiac arrest almost simultaneously. He confirmed they were stable, but their hearts had stopped multiple times in the ambulance. Blood tests showed a massive spike of a fast-acting, deliberate cardiotoxic agent. The nurse had to study me. The horrifying truth hit me. Their panic wasn't because they feared I might get sick. They were terrified because I hadn't. The birthday gift was meant to be fatal. The next morning, Leo woke up looking pale. I was holding his hand when he focused on me and apologized in a raw voice. He whispered that Diana had told him the box was only for me and warned him not to touch it. She had made him promise to hand it over and leave the room, suggesting it was a special adult treat. But he hadn't listened because Finn and Marco were right there, begging for a taste. My blood went cold. I kissed him goodbye and left the room, my legs unsteady. Back at my apartment, I dug through my drawers until I found the shipping materials. Though the chocolates were gone, the tissue paper and gold seal were still in the bag. I noticed a sharp metallic odor beneath the cocoa scent. Relying on my forensic training, I sealed the items in an evidence bag and rushed them to a trusted independent lab, paying a premium for immediate screening. While waiting, I drove back to the Willow Creek house. I used my old key to let myself in. Richard was slumped on the living room couch, staring blankly. Diana was pacing, clutching her phone. Olivia stood nearby, red-eyed and tearful. The air was heavy. I told Leo was awake and had explained everything. Diana froze. I held up my phone, its record light glowing red. I demanded they start talking. Diana tried to pretend concern for the children, but I cut her off asking why she had claimed the chocolates were only meant for me. Richard said nothing. Diana's facade cracked. her face contorting with bitterness. She spat that the gift was for me, the selfish one. She accused me of hoarding my inheritance from my mother while they struggled. She explained that one cardiac episode for me would transfer the money to my father, and thus to them. Olivia started sobbing, saying they only wanted Leo to have the future he deserved. I let the phone record every word of the confession. Diana tried to recant, claiming she hadn't meant it, but I knew she did. I stopped the recording, informing them they had just confessed to 3 counts of attempted serious harm, including 2 minors. I walked out, the door closing with a sense of finality. I spent the rest of the night driving, watching the city lights until dawn. As the sun rose, I went to an upscale salon telling the stylist to make me look like a woman who never lost. 4 hours later, I had a sharp chestnut bob and replaced my clothes with tailored black suits and purposeful heels. The mirror showed a new woman, one they wouldn't expect. My first stop was the office of Gregory Lawson, a specialized lawyer I trusted. I played him the recording. Without hesitation, he began planning, promising search warrants and a full review of their financial records. He also advised locking down my assets immediately. By 3 that afternoon, I had moved the $1.9 million inheritance into an irrevocable trust. The beneficiary was changed to a charity, with special clauses triggered if anyone contested the funds. They would never see a cent. Gregory called shortly after with news. The search warrants were served, and police had found the shipping receipt and a container matching the tissue paper I'd taken to the lab. He also told me Child Services had placed Leo under emergency temporary custody, and since I was the only relative without a conflict, I could file for guardianship that night. A cold certainty settled in my chest. Days later, I picked Leo up from the hospital. He saw me, the new hair, the new clothes, and whispered, "You came?" I told him, of course, and he climbed into my car. As we drove away, he looked at the hospital, shrinking behind us, then smiled a small, brave smile. I felt in the driver's seat for the first time. For the first few days at my condo, Leo was withdrawn, hunched on the sectional, barely eating or speaking. I gave him space, leaving the TV low and going to work so he wouldn't feel watched. I watched him quietly at night. The 4th morning, he wandered into the kitchen where I was making breakfast. He broke the silence, telling me Diana used to sit him down and say that once I was gone, they would finally have enough money, that my mother's savings were for the family, not locked away with me. She accused him of stealing his future. He had dismissed it as anger, not realizing they were serious. He then revealed that Olivia would laugh, confirming the private school tuition was already set aside, waiting for the paperwork. Richard never told them to stop, pretending not to hear. He thought it was a joke until the night Diana handed him the sealed box, telling him not to touch it. It was only for me. Meanwhile, Olivia was flooding my phone with angry, then pleading messages, demanding her brother back. I ignored them all. The private investigator's report on Diana landed in my inbox. Her secret gambling life, $380,000 in debt from offshore sports books, and cash advances. The final transfer, the exact amount for a private school deposit, occurred days before my birthday. I forwarded the file to the prosecutor with a single line. The motive was clear now. That evening, Olivia stormed my apartment. She burst in, mascara streaking. Leo was playing a game. He froze when he saw her. She ordered him to leave with her. I stepped between them, stating he wasn't going anywhere. She lunged for Leo, who flinged away. I caught her wrist and warned her she'd call security if she touched him. She accused me of taking everything, my mother's money and now her brother. I played the recording, Diana's cold, precise voice, detailing how my death would transfer the money. Olivia collapsed onto the floor, sobbing,
swearing she never wanted the children hurt. Leo stepped beside me and looked down at her, declaring she stopped being his sister the day she helped try to kill me. I handed her the freshly filed civil suit for emotional distress and punitive damages. She stumbled out, clutching the papers. Leo looked at me, thanked me, and I pulled him into a long hug. That night, he fell asleep peacefully.
10 years have passed. I am 45, a director of forensic accounting with a corner office overlooking the city. Leo is 22, living off campus, running every morning. I bought a new condo last year with no trace of the past, save one photo of Leo and me at his graduation. The old house was sold at auction. Diana is still incarcerated. Olivia was released after 9 years and moved to a small, distant town. I never read the updates from the private investigator I keep on retainer. I have never visited or accepted a call. People ask how I can be so cold. It's not the absence of feeling, I know. It's self-preservation. I spent 35 years shrinking so they could feel bigger, and when I stopped, they tried to kill me for the space I finally occupied. I didn't forgive them because the version of them worth forgiving never existed. I didn't hate them because hate would mean they still had control. I simply removed them, permanently, without sentiment, like a tumor. Last May, we celebrated Leo's graduation with steak. He raised his glass to the only real parent I ever had. I clinked mine against his. To the brother who chose to become family when blood failed us both. That night, he asked if I regretted any of it. I looked out over the city and told him the truth. I regretted staying quiet for 35 years and teaching him that love meant accepting poison. I did not regret cutting them out. I regretted that it took almost dying to do it. He nodded, his eyes wise. Family isn't who you're born to, he said. It's who you'd bleed for and who'd bleed for you. I gave Leo a real home, safety, and love without conditions. The others made their choices. They chose money over a daughter, greed over a sister, convenience over a son's life. I chose to live. Every morning, watching the sun rise, I know one thing. They chose their path, and I am no longer on it.